see. So still a number of opportunities for SpaceX to pivot throughout the course of their launch window available to them today, but just by looking at this radar loop, doesn't seem like there's a whole lot of margin for conditions to improve if that moving across the state continues on at the pace it's going. Time now T minus 1 hour, 9 minutes, 13 seconds as things currently stand to a planned liftoff at 7:02 p.m. Eastern. We mentioned the forecast from the 45th Weather Squadron. Let's go ahead and just give y'all a look at what we were talking about. Conditions were not looking too favorable heading into today's launch opportunity. Hopefully, though, with this forecast having been issued on Saturday, perhaps there's a chance that things have changed since this published outlook was issued by the meteorologist at the 45th Weather Squadron and today's launch opportunity. Perhaps there's some amount of finessing that can be done here in a small pocket where SpaceX might be able to fly their Falcon rocket, but we will have to wait and see as we get closer. You may have heard a little bit ago an announcement over the vehicle assembly building's loudspeakers that was in reference to a phase one lightning watch in effect across the Kennedy Space Center and the central parts of Cape Canaveral Space Force Station. As we're closing in on 1 hour remaining, once again, I want to thank channel member K2 Hat for a $2 super chat who says, hello again, Will, and everyone who is here. Welcome back, K2. Thanks for joining us again after the Vandenberg launch coverage earlier today. Also, thanks to Just Sherry, one, for a $5 super chat. It says, hello from Lemoore, California, the home of the Lockheed Martin built F-35s. And welcome into new channel member Cynthia Bradley, L6D, joining us with membership at the pad leader level. Welcome aboard, Cynthia. We're glad to have you with us. given that we're less than 20 minutes away from the original announced T0 time, or the most recently announced one before the shuffle by SpaceX. If you are just joining us, SpaceX did need to adjust the planned T0 of the mission today, likely due to some nasty weather that's moving across the Florida peninsula as we speak. Improved a bit here at the Kennedy Space Center, not nearly as rainy as it was just a moment ago. You can see quite windy there by looking at the American flag in the upper left-hand corner of your screen, but at least we have visibility on the Falcon 9 rocket again. That's certainly a welcome change. You take a look out at the turn basin camera, you can see some of the clouds that are lower to ground level. Look at another wide vantage point here. You can see NASA has also set up a stage there just off to the right-hand side of the screen as well. Given that NASA doesn't have any more missions scheduled for this year, that may be them setting the stage literally and figuratively for the upcoming rollout of the Space Launch System rocket and Orion spacecraft ahead of the Artemis 2 mission, which currently has a no earlier than date of February 5th. We're also still awaiting a new date for the countdown demonstration test. You can think of this, if you're more familiar with the crew launches, of course, at Launch Complex 39A, or now over at Slick 40. This is what SpaceX would call a dry dress rehearsal. What was referred to as the Terminal Count Dead Demonstration Test, or TCDT, out at the pad. This countdown demonstration test, or CDT, will be performed inside the vehicle assembly building, and it'll be an operation where we'll see the 4 astronauts of the Artemis 2 mission in their flight suits leave the Neil Armstrong Operations and Checkout building, make the trip over to the VAB, where they will then ride up to their Orion spacecraft named Integrity. They will board Orion and then down demonstration going almost all the way to T0, but terminating less than a minute prior. Teams will then also go through a demonstration of an emergency evacuation from the Orion spacecraft following the conclusion of the CDT. This was originally scheduled to happen back in the week before the Thanksgiving holiday. However, as NASA described to us, and if you haven't had a chance to read our article on this, we've got a story up on our website, spaceflightnow.com. There was a quote-unquote blemish that was discovered on the Orion spacecraft, which caused teams to shuffle things that came up during a closeout demonstration of the Orion spacecraft. go ahead and read from our report. Quote, prior to the countdown demonstration test, the agency had planned to conduct a day of launch closeout demonstration. This demonstration was paused when a blemish was found on the crew module thermal barrier, preventing hatch could be addressed. A repair was completed on November 18th, allowing the closeout demo to successfully complete on November 19th. To allow lessons learned from the closeout demo to be incorporated into the planning for the countdown demonstration test, the decision was made to proceed into water servicing next and place the countdown demonstration test after this servicing completes, end quote. Since receiving that statement from NASA, we've reached back out to the agency for further clarification about when the CDT is scheduled to happen. We have not received a date on that as of yet. Also asked for a little more color regarding the water servicing work that was mentioned in the statement. So far, we have not received a response to our request for comment on that matter either. But we'll continue to keep you posted on updates for the Artemis 2 mission as it progresses, and certainly when both the countdown demonstration tests are scheduled, when that's completed, and when the rocket and spacecraft are ready and, of course, in position to move out to make their roughly 4-mile journey over to the pad at Launch Complex 39B. You're looking live right now at the vehicle assembly building. The bright tower of lights that is to the right of this iconic building, that is a structure similar to the one inside the VAB, which is currently supporting the rocket for the Artemis 2 mission, but that is the mobile launcher number 2, which is taller and designed to support the next block upgrade for the Space Launch System rocket, which will start launching beginning with the Artemis 4 mission. Unlike the first 3 flights of the Artemis program, starting with Artemis 4, NASA will no longer use the interim cryogenic propulsion stage, or the ICPS, which is manufactured by United Launch Alliance, and instead they will be using the currently in development and construction exploration upper stage. Which is being built by Boeing. The exploration upper stage, unlike the ICPS, which uses a single engine from Aerojet Rocketdyne, the EUS, or exploration upper stage, is powered by 4 RL-10C-3 engines. The exploration upper stage will be incorporated into both the Space Launch System rocket Block 1B and Block 2 rockets, assuming that the program continues in its current state through to the use of the Block 2 version of the SLS. Taking a look at our live chat, I see we're joined by another one of our moderators here, Callistia Lee. Good to see you. And at the moment, the clock is holding once again at T minus 53 minutes, 3 seconds, as SpaceX continues to assess the weather situation here. We'll update you as soon as there is a new T0. Local time is currently 6:13 p.m. Eastern, 23:13 UTC. For those of you who are just tuning in, if you had set a timer for yourself and were hoping to see a Falcon 9 rocket lift off, I'm sorry to say that you're plumb out of luck at the moment. SpaceX pushed back the T0 to 7:02 and is currently in a unscheduled hold of their countdown prior to the start of fueling, with the clock stopping at T minus 53 minutes and 3 seconds. Teams assessing the next available launch opportunity if they feel like there's enough to launch tonight. Of course, if SpaceX publishes a new T0, we will update our clock and bring that to you as soon as possible. For those taking a look at the pad, thinking, well, things look pretty good right now. There's no rain in sight and things look like they're improving. Guys, the back, let's pull up that raid or that satellite view one more time and give an overview of, yeah, this is what meteorologists with SpaceX and the 45th Weather Squadron are tracking right now, which is a band of less than pleasant weather that is cruising across the Florida Peninsula as we speak. This is a cold front that was forecast by meteorologists to push on through, but won't be out of the area until after the conclusion of this launch window here. That's why meteorologists forecast the odds of favorable weather to be as low as 30% heading into today's launch opportunity at the back end of the window. But the good news for SpaceX is by the time, if they need to stop down entirely for today and target a launch tomorrow, conditions improve to 75% favorable from the best chance they had today was coin toss. Right now, teams are still in that unplanned hold of the count prior to the start of fueling. No new T0 has been issued yet, but of course we will broadcast that to you as soon as we have something to share. as one of our moderators, Astro Joe, noted in the live chat, the window today closes at 8:40 p.m. Eastern. So SpaceX does still have some margin to play with, but at this particular moment, they have not updated their T0 time. So we are standing by for further adjustments. Local time now 6:19 p.m. Eastern. We are starting to see some additional venting from the strong back and from the vehicle potentially. You see just beneath the inner stage of the rocket above the Falcon 9 logo, you can see some wisps of vapor, or you could till just a second ago. Still seeing some ground venting as well. This may be SpaceX going through their process of safing various systems, and this could be a visual cue of them calling the ball game here. We will continue to stay with you until we're more certain of the status of this mission, and of course, we'll let you know just as soon as we have a more definitive posture on this. Again, if you're just joining us, you're watching Right Now's live coverage of the Starlink 6-92 mission. SpaceX paused the countdown clock at T-minus 53 minutes and 3 seconds. New T0 has not been announced. And as you can see, if you look just beneath the inner stage, there's quite a bit of additional venting that's been happening. And this is per the Brevard County Emergency Operations Center. Quote, "We have deactivated our launch operations support team after a scrubbed launch of the SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket," end quote. So per Brevard EOC, this mission has scrubbed for today, and presumably SpaceX will target a launch opportunity tomorrow. SpaceX themselves have not issued a statement confirming that they are scrubbed, but is coming from the Brevard County EOC, or the Emergency Operations Center, which activates in support of all launch operations from the Kennedy Space Center and Cape Canaveral Space Stations. So pretty reliable source that this mission has scrubbed today. Again, with the scrub tonight, window tomorrow scheduled to open at 4:14 p.m. Eastern. And of course, here with live coverage for you beginning an hour prior to liftoff. Weather looking considerably better at the pad tomorrow. What meteorologists and SpaceX will be tracking, of course, as we've mentioned throughout the broadcast, are the booster landing conditions. So we'll see how those trend between this forecast that was issued yesterday and the next forecast that is issued now that the mission has officially scrubbed. Want to thank all of you for being with us for our coverage here today. Certainly appreciate your time and attention, and it's unfortunate, but sometimes that's just the way the cookie crumbles. Want to thank our moderators in the chat, to Aussie Space Girl, Astro Joe, and Rick Donner. Appreciate you being with us. Thanks as well to our friends Pete Karstens with Max Q Productions and Chuck and Jen Briggs for being on standby. To our photographers Adam and John for getting the cameras primed and ready. And to John and Stephen for running the technical operations of the broadcast. For all of us here at Spaceflight Now, I'm Will Robinson Smith. Remember, be good to yourselves, be good to others, and we will see you next time, folks. Until then, bye-bye.